Hey guys, today I thought I would make, well, I thought I was going to make one video, but what I think I'm going to do is make two videos because I don't really want to make a long 25 or 30 minute video. I know sometimes that can be boring and sometimes I can be long-winded, I guess, but I just try to get as much information as I can about whatever topic I'm covering, you know what I mean? But today I thought I would help you guys out with identifying heat stamps in helmets. And I'm going to cover U.S. helmets from World War One up through Vietnam. Like I said, I'm going to do two different videos. The first one's going to be World War One through World War Two, and then Korea through Vietnam will be the second video. I think that'd be best, two separate videos. But I'm going to show you some examples and give you some information on, production numbers and what to look for, to kind of help you guys out. A lot of you have reached out to me with questions about heat stamps and who made them and what era are they from and everything. And so I thought I'd make these videos to help you guys out as a reference. I don't claim to be an expert. I say that in a lot of my videos, but I do have a pretty good knowledge on helmets, because I'm a helmet freak. I like them. I enjoy them. And I've done a lot of researching and, a lot of, I've searched hard, trying to get information and everything on my collection and things to look for and share. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to do World War One through World War Two this video, and then I'll make another one Korea through Vietnam. And I'm going to give you some information also. So let's get started. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to cover these top helmets here in this first video, and then the second video I'll do these bottom five. Like I said, I just want to share as much knowledge as I can with you to help you guys out. As you can see, I've got my notes, almost 2 pages right there from getting this together, and I've got index cards here with stuff written on them. I spent a lot of time putting this video together, like a lot of my other videos. Some people might not realize, being a YouTuber, how sometimes it can be, I guess, exhausting, or you know what I mean? It's just a lot of work goes in these videos of mine, and I know you guys appreciate it, and that makes me feel good about what I do. But anyways, this first helmet here, this is a World War One model 1917. It's a U.S. helmet, and these helmets were produced 1917 to 1918. They started producing them around the fall of 1917, and the production basically ended around November of 1918 when the war ended. And approximately 2.7 million of these model of 1917s were produced. And I wanted to, like I said, cover basically really just heat stamps instead of, characteristics of helmets. But I wanted to show you guys, this is one of my better, more visible heat stamps on a 1917 that I have in my collection. You see it's ZJ256. Now, there were several companies that produced, American helmets during World War One, and I wanted to show you this. These are known World War One U.S. model 1917 heat stamps. To look for codes. Basically, there's UC, YJ, ZA, ZB, UC, and it skips ZG and ZI. Now, they might be out there, but I've never seen them or anything, but these are just known heat stamps, which these are just the beginning of the heat stamp, and then a 2 or 3 digit number will follow these codes right here. But I just want to kind of put this out for you. This, if you have a helmet with, it starts, really most you'll find is going to be a Z lot. I've got a couple of the UCs, but I've never seen a YJ myself. But I just wanted to share this with you. So this is what to look for. If you got one of these codes, then you've got you a model 1917 American World War One helmet. Moving on here. Now this looks, just like the model 1917, right? Well, this is a model 1917 A1. And I wish I had a better example because this one doesn't have a liner, which basically the difference between these two is in the late 1930s, around 1939, the U.S. started producing these helmets. And the basic difference between them would be the liner setup and the chin strap, which, like I said, I wish I had a better example, but I don't at the moment. But these were also made by McCord, just like most of the M1 helmets we're going to get into that were produced during World War II. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many model 1917 A1, they're actually nicknamed Kelly helmets, were produced in about 3-year period or so they were made. But I do know in 1936 the U.S. kind of redid a bunch of the World War I leftover shells and updated the chin strap and liner and everything, and then they end up producing these new helmets altogether, modeled after the World War I variation. Now, like I said, this is made by McCord also, and the heat stamp is just like a McCord M1, World War II era helmet, which, this would be pre-war. This helmet here would have been made between 1939 and 1941, somewhere in that range. But you see it's 18B, and so this more than likely was probably a 1939 shell because it's such a low heat stamp. And these helmets were basically replaced by the M1 helmets in 1942. But this is the type of helmet that would have been worn by the soldiers or sailors and everything when Pearl Harbor took place, and then early 1942, like Philippines and stuff like that. You've heard the Bataan Death March and everything. But like I said, pre-World War II Kelly helmet. See the example. My handwriting not the best, but I basically copied what you saw there. That's what you would see. And so, like I said, that's just kind of a basic covering of the Kelly helmet. Now, like I said, a lot of World War I helmets were upgraded to the same chin strap and liner setup as these pre-World War II Kelly helmets that were made. You got model 1917, model 1917A1. Got Doughboy helmet, Kelly helmet. But anyways, like I said, you got these different codes here. You got a World War I, which could have been upgraded to the liner and the chin strap the same as this was designed, originally produced with. Or you got, like I said, the example there made by McCord, same style, same font, and everything as far as the heat stamp goes. Now moving on, we go from the Kelly helmet. Then, starting on June 26th of 1941, McCord started producing these M1 helmets. And in like I said, early 42, mid 42, these would start replacing that, right? As far as being issued to soldiers and everything. Now this is a McCord helmet, and I wanted to show you McCord. Here, let me get into a little history real quick. McCord made approximately 20 million helmets during World War II, from late June 1941 to around August or so 1945. Like I said, about 20 million produced. And before really the war got started, as far as U.S. involvement, December 1941, McCord had already produced about 323,000 helmets between the end of June and, maybe early mid-December, right, of 1941. So in about a, 5 to 5.5 month period, it produced 323,000 of them approximately. But I wanted to show you what the heat stamp looks like on a McCord. This is one of the better ones I have, because a lot of times the letters and numbers would have faded, they were struck lightly or whatever, but so that's a McCord. You see, the numbers aren't very tall, aren't very big, and you see the type of font they use. Now I wanted to show you, I'm going to go over next is a Schluter World War II helmet. They're different. This is an example, which I use the same numbers. Look at the letter A right there. You see it's basically a perfect A. You see the cross line right there in between about the middle of the, I guess the A shape. Okay, so there's your McCord, right? And like I said, about 20 million produced. And the heat stamp on McCords went up to about the 1300 mark from 1941, end the war, 1945, right? So up to 1300, which the highest heat stamp I think I've ever seen is like 1284 or 1286, which would have been like one of the last, very few, within the last few thousand or so made, or produced. But so that's what your McCord looks like. Now, this is a World War II Schluter helmet. Now, Schluter started producing helmets in January 1943, and they produced them basically through the end of the war, right? Around mid 1945 towards, August 45 or so. Now, there's difference with the Schluters. Now, one thing, like I said, the McCord went up to 1300. Now, Schluter, they never made it to the 600 mark. I have never seen a Schluter 600 or more, because they don't exist. The highest one I think I've seen is like 560 something or 570, whatever. But anyways, so now the Schluters, one thing I'll show you, this is one of the better ones. Now the Schluter, the heat stamp is a different font. The numbers and letters are a different font than the McCord's. And if you can remember what the McCord one looks like, the numbers are taller than the McCord. They're probably 1/4 of an inch taller than the McCord heat stamp. And also the Schluter, you can see that right there, is going to have a letter S underneath it, which a lot of times the S is not visible. Sometimes the heat stamp's not visible. It's been painted multiple times or faded over time or whatever. But like I said, you will never see, you know, a heat stamp of 800 and something or 1100 and something and then a letter S, because like I said, Schluter never, you know, never made it over the 600 mark or even to the 600 mark. You know, which, I mean, there are different people, you know, want to argue about stuff. I'm not in arguing, but I mean, I'm just telling you what it is, you know, not being smart aleck or anything. But so up to 1300 McCord, Schluter up to 600, you know. And like I said, the heat stamps are taller than the McCords and a different font. And then look for the letter S. Now, which a lot of times the S isn't visible. You know, I've got some Schluters that basically barely have any of the S left. So like I said, if you happen to have a McCord and you question whether your new helmet to your collection or whatever is a Schluter or McCord, look at the height, how tall the letters are. You see, this one's probably, you know, a good inch or so tall, right? And then look at the letter A also. I want to show you that difference here. Here's an example of Schluter. I use the same numbers as inside the helmet there. See, the cross in the A is lower down to the bottom of the shape of the A, whereas the Schluter, let me pull it back. You see the difference? Like I said, taller numbers, right? These are about the size, you know, just as an example. You're going to have an S with the Schluter, but look at the letter A's. See the difference? The A's are different. The crossbar is lower down on the shape of the A than the Schluter, than the McCord. And like I said, not over 600, you know, up to 600, up to 1300. So, like I said, I just want to throw that out there. And the last thing I wanted to give you guys for this video is production numbers. These are just approximate numbers. Like I said, about 22 million were made. And these break it down by year. Now, this is McCord and Schluter numbers, you know, production numbers combined. So, you got 1941, 42, and I put an asterisk by 1943 because 1943, the most M1 helmets were produced throughout the whole war as far as, you know, our involvement, U.S. involvement. And the reason that is because 1943 is what? That's when Schluter started producing helmets also. So you go 41 and 42, McCord only, and then 43, 44, 45, you know, you've got Schluter and McCord, which you see numbers dip down some, about 1.9 million, almost 2 million less in 43. And then it dipped down about another 2 million in 45, which helmets were only produced around 8 months or so, right? Because the war ended, which was a good thing, right? Because war is not a good thing. But anyways, guys, I know I'm kind of long-winded, but this is just the first of 2 videos. I hope this information helps you guys out, what you look for and everything. Maybe you guys can save this video as a favorite and even share it with your friends. And the next video, share it also, save them for your reference and everything. And I think it'll definitely help you guys out. I'm always trying to help people out in every possible way. But like I said, this is just basic run through as far as what to look for in heat stamps and everything. And I hope this helps you guys out. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up and start preparing for the next one. So thanks for watching and all your support. I appreciate you.